You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 8th day of September 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast is our live training room. Now that one is reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step exactly how to do it. There's no credit card required. You get 5 consecutive trading days where you not only have access to the live training room, but we treat you just like you were already a member, a full-fledged passport holder. We want you to have the full experience, so that at the end of the trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before the broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link, so at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it'll automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days when you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN, Christian Financial Radio Network, since 2005. But you don't have to remember all that. Just youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. If you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can actually see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it is a great resource to have at your fingertips. And again, it allows you to see how we've evolved over the years. You don't find too many folks in our field who've been around a couple decades. But by the grace of God, here we are. Ain't that something? All right, you can see our daily schedule. It's right here. Michael will join us about 1 o'clock Eastern for a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room, and then a little live trading on the TradingView platform. But we'll start where we always do each day with our daily devotional. The topic we're on today, this is day 3 of 5, enemies of the heart. There's 4 of them. We're going to talk about number 2 today. Today's scripture is Ephesians 4, verses 25 through 32, and I'm going to share it with you from the Message translation. What this adds up to, then, is this: no more lies, no more pretense. Tell your neighbor the truth. In Christ's body, we're all connected to each other. After all, when you lie to others, you end up lying to yourself. Go ahead and be angry. You do well to be angry. But don't use your anger as fuel for revenge. And don't stay angry. Don't go to bed angry. Don't give the enemy that kind of foothold in your life. Did you used to make ends meet by stealing? Well, no more. Get an honest job so that you can help others who can't work. Watch the way you talk. Let nothing foul or dirty come out of your mouth. Say only what helps. Each word a gift. Don't grieve God. Don't break His heart. His Holy Spirit, moving and breathing in you, is the most intimate part of your life, making you fit for Himself. Don't take such a gift for granted. Make a clean break with all cutting, backbiting, profane talk. Be gentle with one another, sensitive. Forgive one another as quickly and thoroughly as God in Christ forgave you. Again, that was Ephesians 4, verses 25 through 32. So, anger. Second enemy of the heart. When we get angry, it's often because we don't get what we want. Show me an angry person and I'll show you a hurt person. And I guarantee you that person is hurt because something has been taken. Somebody owes them something. We all know people whose anger could be verbalized in one of the following ways. You took my reputation. You stole my family. You took the best years of my life. You stole my first marriage. You robbed me of my teenage years. You robbed me of my purity. You owe me a raise. You owe me an opportunity to try. You owe me a second chance. You owe me affection. The root of anger is the perception that something has been taken. Something is owed you. And now a debt-to-debtor relationship has been established. How about you? What debt is causing the anger you feel? How long are you going to allow the people who have hurt you to control your life? Another month? Another year? Another season of your life? How long? I'd like to propose that today should be the day when you quit holding on to the hurt. Whatever it is. While it's true that you can't undo what's been done, it's equally true that you don't have to let the past control your future. In Ephesians 4, we're commanded to get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger. We do that by forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. The remedy for anger is forgiveness. If we hold out, waiting to be paid back for the wrongs done to us, we will be the ones who pay. If, on the other hand, we cancel the debts owed to us, we will be set free. It's counterintuitive, but so true. Of the four monstrous forces we're discussing in this devotional, I believe this one, unresolved anger from intentional and unintentional hurt, is the most devastating. Yet in some ways, it's the easiest to overcome. You simply make up your mind to cancel the debt. You decide and declare, you don't owe me anymore. Follow this 4-step process today. Identify who you're angry with. Determine what they owe you. Cancel the debt by forgiving them. And don't let the anger build up again. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, help us put off every lie, every harsh word, and every trace of bitterness. Teach us to speak truth in love, to let go of anger quickly, and to build one another up with our words. Fill us with kindness and compassion, and remind us to forgive as Christ has forgiven us. May our lives reflect your grace in all we say and do. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen and happy Monday. I'm going to put you on hold here for one quick second. I'll be right back. All right, we'll try it again. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Got a new mouse. Haven't hooked it up yet. I'll get to that. All right, the Dow currently up 9 points. NASDAQ up 129 points. S&P 500 up 13. The Russell 2000 down almost 1.5 points. No movers, no shakers. And here we are with the mixed markets again. 3 green, 1 red. But neither one by very much. Crude oil finally making a turnaround. Up $1.02. No, I'm sorry, make that 63 cents. Trading 62.50 last. It's a gain of a little over 1%. Gold up $26.50. Trading 36.79.80 last. Silver up 46 cents. Trading 42.01 last. That's a gain of just over 1%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei gained 625 points, almost 1.5%. The Shanghai up 14. The Hang Seng up 215, which is almost 1%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 13. The DAX up 210, almost 1%. The CAC up 60. So we had a green day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK. And at the moment, it is a mixed Radio Monday here in the US of A. Internet interrupted. Multiple undersea cables were cut this weekend in the Red Sea near Saudi Arabia, slowing internet access for users in the Middle East, Asia, and Europe. The cause of the interruption was not publicly known as of this writing. There are over 500 undersea fiber optic cables worldwide, serving as the internet's backbone. Think about that, 500 undersea fiber optic cables, collectively over 900,000 miles long, and responsible for transmitting 95% of global data. Yemen's Houthi rebels have threatened to cut the Red Sea cables, interrupting up to 17% of global internet traffic in protest to the Israel-Gaza war. They have since backed down. However, last year, denying involvement in an incident in which 3 cables were severed. The vast majority of fiber optic cable disruptions are attributed to fishing and ship anchoring incidents. Yeah, somehow I don't think this was an accident. Some users in Dubai and Kuwait reported slower traffic as service providers rerouted to backup cables following the incident. Good stuff. U.S. markets up a little bit today as investors set their sights on inflation data later this week to provide a reality check on the chances of a jumbo interest rate cut in September. Wow, They are hopeful. People on my street are just hoping for a cut. Quarter points as low as you can go. These guys are looking for a jumbo. Wouldn't that be something? Wall Street is already looking ahead to key inflation reports later this week. We've got the PPI, Producer Price Index, on Wednesday, and the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, on Thursday. Together, the data will offer fresh insight into the strength of the economy after last week's weak August jobs print and other soft labor market data as questions about recession start to emerge. Well, that's been the Fed's goal all along. Hey, since nobody can tell him what to do, why wouldn't he be able to get what he wants? I mean, he controls the world's largest money supply. And what's so incredible is he'll go down in history as the worst Fed head ever. There's no doubt about it. His legacy is already. He could give us a jumbo cut now, and he'll still go down in history as our country's worst ever Federal Reserve Chairman. Now, the reports that I just mentioned coming out this week will test markets' total conviction that the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates at its meeting next week. The debate now centers on how deep policymakers will cut amid rising expectations for a bumper catch-up move of 50 basis points rather than just 25. I hope they're right. Wouldn't that be great? Otherwise, this week's economic calendar is light, though the Bureau of Labor Statistics revision to earlier months' jobs data tomorrow will likely be more closely watched than usual. In the meantime, political drama is grabbing attention in the run-up to the first full trading week in what is historically the slowest month of the year. That's right, September. Why? I don't know. In Europe, France's government is on the brink of collapse, with its prime minister expected to lose a parliamentary vote of confidence later today. Japan has already lost its prime minister. They resigned on Sunday. Just said, I've had enough. Do you imagine Trump just throwing the keys on the desk and going, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't need this headache. I mean, could he do it? Yes. Would he do it? No. He has more character than that. The thing you really need to watch is what the Supreme Court is going to do with the tariffs. All this talk about tariff. That's all we've heard. Fed can't lower rates, saving Americans billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. Fed can't do it because of the tariffs. Now, the Supreme Court is about to rule on whether we can even have tariffs. What? Yeah. And guess what? If they say no, all the trillions that we've taken in, got to give half of it back. Oh, yeah. They play real dirty. Robinhood stock was up more than 13% today. Currently, it's up 15%. On news, the company will soon be included in the S&P 500. Robinhood, AppLovin, that's APP, and MCore EME are set to join the S&P 500 during the index's next rebalancing on September 22nd. S&P Dow Jones indices said in a statement Friday. The three companies will replace Market Access Holding, Caesars Entertainment, and Enphase Energy. Now, AppLoving's up about 12% on the news. EME is actually down on the news. Go figure. Now, the ones being removed, of course, they're down on the news. Now, the S&P 500, we all know that's 500 companies, large cap companies, that have to meet a very stringent list of criteria laid down by the board over at Standard & Poor's. But for somebody to come in, somebody's got to leave because there can only be 500 at any one time. That's why it's called the S&P 500. And this is why I'm telling you the indices always go higher over time. Yes, there's dips. Yes, there's sell-offs, plunges, days where there's blood in the streets, all that. But go back to the inception of any index, and you'll see that over time, what's it done? It's gone from the bottom left hand of your screen to the upper right hand corner. Because they're constantly reshuffling the deck. Right here, 3 weak companies being told to hit the bricks. 3 on fire companies getting added. So if you were 21 again, and if you bought an S&P index fund, and if you put $100 a week in it faithfully every week until you were 50 years old, guess what? You could retire, maybe by 40. Hey, but most of us aren't 21 anymore, are we? Spotify is giving users more ways to personalize what they hear. The company is launching a new feature that allows users to filter their library by specific activities, moods, or genres. These filters can also be used to find playlists, or to some extent, audiobooks and podcasts, and can even kick off a new session on Spotify's AI DJ. The smart filters, which began rolling out Friday, will first be made available to premium subscribers on mobile devices and tablets in select markets, including the US, UK, Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and South Africa. Spotify estimates the rollout will be completed over the next few weeks. You know, I never figured out why Spotify caught on the way that it did. Yeah, I know you can listen to all your favorite music there, but there's lots of places for lots of years. I remember in the early days when it was considered almost criminal. Trying to think of the one company. God, what was that? Back in the old days, there was a little company some kid put together in his bedroom and basically did what Spotify does. Of course, Spotify does it. The whole internet's changed with graphics and the way things stream. Google in the news again. Advertising exchange PubMatic has filed a lawsuit against Google, accusing the tech giant of illegally monopolizing the ad technology market. Pomatic is seeking billions of dollars in damages, according to a report from Bloomberg. The lawsuit marks the second time that an advertising exchange has sued Google since a federal judge ruled in April that the search giant had illegally monopolized ad exchanges and ad servers. The judge has set another trial for this month to determine whether Google should be forced to sell off parts of its advertising business due to its illegal conduct. Now, you'll remember last week they dodged a bullet because they were trying to make them sell off Chrome, and the judges ruled that they didn't have to sell off Chrome. We'll see what happens with their ad business. All right. That's enough news for me. Let's go. Logic 247. Last week we ended up with a total of 42 alerts. Remember, last week was only a 4-day week. And we had 4 stop out, 12%. Now we're in week 371, which is a little over 7 years. Over the last 371 weeks, we have issued over 20,400 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued a total of 14 alerts. Still waiting on the outcome of 5. Now that was at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. So these 5 may or may not have resolved themselves. Valerie will update the recap this afternoon, as she does, and post it in the places she does on Telegram every day. But at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, remember, Wall Street hadn't even woken up for the week. 14 alerts last night. And actually, those 14, they were issued before the market opened. Market opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. All 14 of these were issued before the open. So at the time of the recap, we were still waiting on the outcome of 5. Gave us 9 actionable alerts, of which 1 or 11% would have been stopped out. Again, based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and usually additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The real purpose of the logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. Yeah, you can trade them. It's kind of hard not to, right? But here's the point. You gotta learn, if you're going to learn how to trade for a living, you gotta learn how to read the chart. The Logic 247 alerts will aid you greatly in that process. But you got to do the work. I mean, I can give you the information, but then you got to do the work. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. as opportunity presents. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, 7 years, that's a long time. Fair enough. But years before we had Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they're different in a few different ways. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. They're published as a static report shortly before the Globex open each evening. On days when I'm not going to be able to publish them before the Globex open, I put a note in Telegram in the discussion group. And on the days when I know I will get them out 5 minutes ahead of the open, I also put a note. So last night, all of our traders and trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the markets open. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's go take a look at the chart. We'll start with the daily chart of the S&P 500 Emini futures. Okay. Now, here's today, Monday. On Friday, what happened? We ran up and put in a new all-time historic high. 65.41.75. That's the new all-time historic high. This is the new all-time historic closing high, 65.16.25. Because as you can see, we closed well off the all-time intraday high. We came down to the BBC, caught a nice bounce. We got blue and climbing. We're above the step line. The market looks like it would really like to go up and challenge that all-time historic high from Friday. Perhaps take it out. We've got some important economic news this week, and that's going to play heavily into this. The green line is called the BBC. It stands for Bull Bear Cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. And the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. But eventually, it will trade through. Like it did here, and like it did here. But again, the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. Again, and again, and again. Now, this was a nail biter here. This was a red candle all the way down to these lows right here. But by the close of business on this day, September 2nd, I guess that would have been last Tuesday, where did we close? Right above the BBC. So it's possible for price to spike it, but the pullback still holds. Okay. Now, I still see this as a transition, and I'm still looking for a retracement at least to the 24%. That's the shallowest possible fib retracement. Right now, that would be 61.49/61.50. To keep the bull market healthy, I think we should see a much deeper retracement. I don't know if we're going to get that. Okay. A lot of it's going to have to do with how Jerome handles the pending recession, and also how the Supreme Court rules. That's going to play into this thing in a huge way. Because if the Supreme Court rules against the tariffs, then they are going to own the recession just as much as Jerome Powell. They'll all go down in history. Not as being famous, but as being infamous. Okay. All the alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just a time frame I chose years ago. And if it ain't broke, leave it alone, they say. So I say okay. Vertical line separates today, Monday. Back here's Friday. Back here's Thursday. Go back and see every day last week. Now, these are last week's weekly trading zones. The weekly trading zones have been published every Monday for the last 15 and a half years. They come out at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. Now, since they don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, any alerts, whether they're logic alerts or concierge trade alerts, they're based on the previous week's zones. Now that the new zones are out, and all the members have had a chance to get them on their charts, every alert that goes out for the remainder of the week will be based on this week's zones. So, this was the open last night on the ES. We ran right up to the weekly trading zone overhead, and we found resistance. When price rallies up to a weekly trading zone, we expect resistance. When it drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. Very simple. Moving up, expect resistance. Dropping, expect support. Here we caught a little bounce and then we continued on down. Okay. And 64.49/64.50. That was the zone, and we got down to 64.52. So we came within 2 points of the zone. Buyers came in, drove us back up. Now, only one of three things happens when price encounters a weekly zone. 70% of the times consolidation. 20% of the times rejection. 10% of the time is the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. And that happens typically when the move runs out of steam. Price will retrace back to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice. So we opened here last night. We run up to the zone. Now, these are the zones that were published last Monday, not this Monday. On tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones. Resistance always sends the market looking for support. Remember, the pullback to the VBC holds more often than it doesn't. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, back to support, and then resistance. Okay, the long target was based off this bearish cross. When the red line gets below the green line, that's called a bearish cross. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move like this, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. And it was. Now price has gotten below the BBC. We got a double bottom going on right here. Almost. So if price is going to head lower, we need to take out this low. We then need to take out these lows. And that would take us right down to this low, which when we opened last night, First, we ran to the zone below support, and then we ran to the zone overhead resistance. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. And a pretty flat day. It's an inside day compared to Friday. Okay. And all of our members and Tron members had these targets and all the logic alerts before the market opened last night. The Dow. This is the opening candle last night. We managed to get through the BBC, and then we ran into resistance right here. Not a spot I would have chosen, but I don't control the market. Resistance sends the market to support at the zone, so we consolidate like we do 70% of the time. Then we get above the BBC and we make a run at the zone overhead. We don't quite get there. What do we get to? 577. So we miss it by about 13 ticks. Resistance. Now we did take out these highs, okay? But we didn't close above those highs. We spiked it and then just came right off. That in and of itself is a sign of weakness. Blue and climbing turns to red and falling. We get one more bounce off of this zone. First we got this bounce, and we got this bounce, and we got this bounce, where we put in a lower high. We have a high, a lower high. We come all the way down to the short target. See where red turned to blue? That was the short target. We spiked it, and we hit the zone from last week. 45,325/330. Support bounced us up to resistance. But again, we failed to take out that high. So we have a high, a lower high, and a lower high. Sign of weakness. So now we find ourselves back below the BBC. We got red and falling overhead. And 45,390 down to 370. That's 20 points. That would be good for your goal for the day. Yes, it would. The Russell. Here's where we opened last night. We dropped to the BBC again. So we had this move up on Friday. And then last night, we pulled back to the BBC support. It sent us up to resistance. Again, not a spot I would have picked. Okay, we didn't quite get to the zone. But buyers stopped buying. Resistance will always send the market to support. Back to resistance, red and falling. Back to support at the BBC. Back to resistance at the weekly trading zone. Back to support at the BBC. Back to resistance at the weekly trading zone. Back to support at the BBC. And then this time we spiked. That was at 9 o'clock. We spiked it. We didn't make it all the way to the long target. Now, the 9:30 opening candle right here took us from zone to zone. And then the 10 o'clock candle took us down to the short target, which was based off this low from last Friday. Okay, that's what I mean by learning to read the chart, being able to read the chart, market structure. You want to know what the market's going to do next, look left. Now, are you going to be right 100% of the time? No. Although we've tried to be, what's happened over the last 20,400 individual handcrafted alerts. The best we've been able to do is 80%. 20% of the time or less. Some weeks much less. Although we had a wild week, I took 2 days off a couple weeks ago. We ended up with 28%. But our average is still way below 20% on a weekly basis, because we've had weeks of 2%, 4%, 8%. Rarely do we see over 20%. But it sounds a little more humble to just say 20% or less. The real number is down around 12%. And last week was 12%. Today we're saying at 11%. I go over this every day, so you always know. But you got to embrace all possibilities, okay? This could turn out to be an incredibly great week. It could turn out to be a mediocre week. It could turn out to be a bummer. You don't know. You just show up, you do the work. That's all you can do. So we're below the BBC. We got red and falling overhead. Now, so far, we've made one trip down to the short target. We've still got potential support here at the zone. Plus, remember, all of our traders have the new zones. If we were to take out the low of the session, remember the Russell was the only one in the red when I gave you the numbers from around the world, and it was only in the red by less than 2 points. Next area for potential support would be here, and then here. Now again, these are last week's zones. Tomorrow you'll see this week's zones. But all the alerts that go out on Sunday night are always based on the previous week's zones, because the new zones don't come out till 6:15 a.m. on a Monday. Okay? So on Friday, we found resistance at the zone. We found support at the zone. What a day. We did a little rallying into the close on Friday, and then we opened last night right here. We dropped to the zone, which we expect to be support. We haven't spiked it and touched blue and climbing. Blue and climbing is bullish. And so that took us up. Now, the target was based off this bearish cross right here. We actually traded above it. This first candle closed just above the bearish cross. We then continued higher, and again, we hit a resistance spot that I would not have foreseen. Okay, and then we get a pullback to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. It's called the BBC. A leg, a retracement, and a leg right up to the zone from last week. Pretty much to the tick. Missed it by 2 ticks. Okay. Now the step line is cross blue and climbing. We're painting a red candle. Now we've been all the way down here, so we've already bounced off the BBC once. When the step line crosses blue and climbing, we expect a retracement back to the BBC. Just like down here, when the step line crosses red and falling, we expect a retracement up to the BBC. Over and over again and again. So we're at a real decision point here. Okay? We're above the BBC, so we're bullish. We've already made the pullback to the BBC. But in order for price to go higher, we've got to overcome the black step line, blue and climbing. When those get directly above price, they become potential resistance. And then you've got, of course, the zone, which is the high of the day. If we get below the BBC, we got some potential support here. the top of the short, when you trade through the long target, like this, on the retracement, the top of the long target will almost always be good support. Same is true when you go through the short target and get a retracement. The bottom side of the short target will become resistance. Okay. All right. Crude oil. Here's the open last night. Now, we closed Friday below the lowest weekly trading zone. So we opened here last night. We dropped to blue and climbing support, ran right up to the zone, to the tick. Resistance sent us back to support. And then leg, retracement, leg, retracement. And what do you know? We hit the long target, which is based off this bearish cross up here. Okay. Then we dropped below the BBC and we dropped through the zone and the bullish cross right here. We spiked it a little bit, but we expect that area to be support. And it was. That bounced us up to red and falling resistance. The fact that we were unable to get all the way to the BBC, that's a sign of weakness. And here we come back down. Possibly we'll put in a double bottom here. And then down here's the short target. All right. We'll cover gold and silver when I come back. I think Michael's here. He's going to give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. Do some live trading on the TradingView platform. And then I'll be back. We'll finish up that recap and wrap things up with our good word for the day.
Excellent. Here we are. All right. So, happy Monday, everyone.
Looks good.
All right. Good. Happy Monday. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 8th day of September 2025. Now, if you have not taken your free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingq.com. Click on this purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on the purple button and it will bring you to this page. All I ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. And down at the bottom gives you TradingView login ID. Okay. Yeah, once you do that, we'll be able to get your indicators indicating. All right, hit the register button and we'll know that you did everything. Name, email, phone number, and really your phone number. So, and down here give us your TradingView login ID. All right, make sure you do all those things, and we'll get your indicators indicating on your desktop for you. Now, we had an okay day today. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't a struggle. But we ended up today with plus 169 on the NQ, minus 8 on the Russell, plus 25 on the gold, and minus 19 on the ES. That puts it at $817.50. Today it took 7 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,200, and took a total of 28 trades this morning. Right, they're $1,200 with 10 contracts. So on the month now we're at $5,545. That's over 5 business days, averaging $1,109 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year now, we're at $189,990. That's over 152 business days, averaging $1,249 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now, following the 24/20 blueprint, if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day, if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and add 1 contract per month, that means you achieve $2,000 per contract in profits every month. To be able to add another contract, you'd be at 9 contracts right now. And so far this year, you'd work just under 21 hours and you'd be up $115,052 if you did everything just like me. All right? So you'd be averaging $5,549 per hour. Pretty good money if you can get it. All right. Let's get into the trades we did. Now, most of the trades are on the NQ, so I'm just going to go right across. We'll start out with the gold. And our first trade on gold was right here. It looks like it was right here. And on that one, we picked up 5 ticks. Next one, 7 to get us to 12, then a break even, then 1 to get us to 13, then another break even, then 1 to get us to 14, then 1 to get us to 15, and then 10 to get us to 25. This was right at the end of the session right here. Since then, looking across, that was not a trade. That was not a trade. This was a trade right here. This would have been a trade right there. Would have been a break even. That would have been followed up right here with another break even. This was a trade here. That would have stopped out. And this right here would have been a break even. So not a lot happened with gold today. All right. The Russell. We stopped out a couple of times on the Russell. We were able to get a little ground on the Russell. We started out our first trade. We had a break even, and then we had a plus 10. And then we stopped out, put us to minus 5. Then we had another plus 10 to put us to plus 5. Then we stopped out again, put us to minus 10. And then we had a plus 2. That got us to minus 8. Now, during the break, it's a long trade right here that would have worked out. A short trade right here that would have worked out. And almost have a long trade right now. If we hit the midpoint and we close up, we'll have a long trade there right now on the Russell. Okay, minimize this and this so I can actually get to my DOMs in case we do get one. And the ES. Now the ES was my real nemesis today. Because we had this trade right here, first trade of the morning. Well, not the first trade of the morning, first trade on the ES. We stopped out minus 10. Next trade right here. Now I made it orange because I think it went enough to get the stop to break even. Oh no, I had a really crappy fill. That's what it was. I had a really bad fill on that. And I stopped out. And if I didn't have the bad fill, we would have been in it for some profit. But I was at minus 20 right there, and then I got a plus 1. My only positive trade on the ES was a plus 1. Let's see, this was not a trade. This was a trade right here. This was a trade right here. So those are 2 really nice trades on the ES during the break. And that was it. This actually was a trade right here too. Looks like it probably would have been a break even for me. And that was it on the ES. We're minus 19. All right, so the Russell is sort of coming together here. It's a low of 90.3, so you can buy 91.3 right now. Okay. Looks like this on the top. Buy stop limit order waiting. Okay. Let me scroll back this way on this thing so it doesn't take me so long. All right, here we go. So on the NQ, our first move right here was 16 ticks. I believe that is where we got the goal for the day. No, actually it wasn't. We almost got the goal for the day. We got 16 ticks there, then we had a break even, then this is where we got the goal for the day. We got 8 more. Put us at 24. Okay, and then a ways later we had another one right here that got us up to 40. That was the 16 tick that got us up to 40. And then we had a break even and a 45 that got us up to 85. And then we had went from 85 to 101. So we had a 16 tick in there somewhere that I didn't mark on this side. And then we stopped out from 101 down to 76. And then we had a 20 tick that went to 96. Then a 8 tick that went to 104. Then a 45 tick that went to 149. And a 4 tick to 153. And a 4 tick to 157. And a 4 tick to 161, and then finally an 8 tick to 169. And that is where we ended it on the NQ, I think. Yeah, that's it. All right. We did not end up triggering into that Russell. Oops, I didn't need to do that. I need to do this. We did not end up triggering into the Russell, not yet. But we got to reset it. The low is at 89.9, so this needs to be here at 90.9. Okay. So let's see what we missed during the break on the NQ. That was a short trade right there. It was a break even. This was a decent trade right there if you were ready for it because it gapped. This was a decent trade here. Remember, these are 19 range bars, so that's like 20 ticks. This is 19 ticks. That wasn't a trade. You got the green background, no trade in there, back to the red background, no trade through there, back to the green. One trade right there. Back into the red. You had a short right there. This one here on the green, that probably would have stopped out. This on the red, you would have gotten it right back. No trade in here. Still not in that Russell trade. This was a trade here that would have stopped out for sure. We got some profit there. Some profit there. That would have been break even for me if I had taken it. Nothing. 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 And that's it. Not really a whole lot going on there. And we never got filled on that Russell trade. Though we're pretty close. We shouldn't be pretty close. I got to move it to 0.9. Oh, sorry, 0.5. From 0.9 to 0.5. There's the Russell trade. It hasn't happened yet, but that's what's setting up anyway. All right, so we finally filled on that. So here's the deal. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. That's all you need to do. All right, when you do that, you will be brought to this page. Just fill out this form. Once you fill out this form, you'll be sent a link to get into the morning session before the morning session every single day. Make sure you give us your TradingView login ID down here, though, okay? Because if you don't give us that, then we don't know that you took the free trial. I'm sorry, we know you took the free trial, but we won't be able to get your indicators indicating. Man, I'm telling you, something is off with me today. All right, so nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. All right, so on the NQ, now you have a chance for a trade. So I'm just got a high of 76.25, so be selling 71.25. Did I say 70? I meant 90. Sorry. Now it's got a high of 98.50, be selling 93.50. All right, I told you something's just off. I don't know what it is. We need 5 ticks in profit on this bump to stop to break even. All right, if this goes up anymore, I think it actually might be too high right now. The high is at 850. Yeah, it's too high. There's going to be no trade there on the NQ. Cancel. Cancel. This is good. This is starting to move. Needs to get up to 0.0. It's trying to get up to 92.3, but it should get up to 0.0 right here. This is nothing over here on gold. We almost had it on this. We need 0.0. We're one tick away from it. It's gotta go this time, guys. It's gotta go. Where's the number it wants to get up to? This one right here, 92.2. There it is. Stop to break even. Now look, 92.3 is the high, and 92.2 has got the number. That's where it wants to go to right now. So we're gonna let it. Let's put a target up there. 92.2. That would be 17 ticks right there. This is not a trade over here on the gold right now. Not a trade on the gold. I haven't checked this since it broke, and there it is. Okay. Or this one. Okay, I don't know where that is right now. Why does it do that? Why doesn't it have the stuff on the side? We're almost stopping out on this Russell now. I'm sorry, not stopping out. We're almost getting a break even on the Russell. Not stopping out. Not stopping out and break even. It should get up to 92.2 here. Now I'm going to lock in a little bit of profit on it. Okay, just a little bit. Did I say that I can't get the black line, or no, none of that stuff is going on Ninja, Bob. None of the TV trades things will be on Ninja. Okay, not the TV trades range trigger. Not anything that's got TV trades on it. Right, even the new stuff that we create for Trading IQ, that's not going on Ninja. It's too much work, and 92.2 is where we thought this was going to go. We locked in 10 ticks right now, and 92.2 is where the number was that I was looking for. And we're out with the 10. Okay, that was a little bit of an exercise in patience. We don't have anything here on gold. No, Bob, anything that we have to do on Ninja Trader, we have to farm out. I have a guy that writes that code for me, and I have to write it and then give it to him, and then he translates it. But I'm still not doing that. It's only on TradeStation. TradeStation. Sorry, not on TradeStation. Only on TradingView. See, I'm telling you, I'm slipping today. I should not be trading at all. And the real reason why, Bob, is because a while back we missed one email that they sent to us. One little email that they sent to us. And they yanked our ability to do anything for anybody. All the people over all these years, the past 2 decades just about, that have signed with us on NinjaTrader. We have to, when they get a new computer or when their BIOS gets updated, they get a new machine ID, and we have to update that machine ID for them. I did one today, and that's for people who've been using our stuff for years and years and years and years and years, and it just happens. So it's just regular maintenance that we have to do all the time. And I mean, it's not a ton of work or anything like that. It's just we have to have access to the back end to be able to do that. And they give us that as part of being a third-party vendor. They give us that. But because we missed that one email, they yanked our third-party vendor status, and we couldn't have access to do that for anybody anymore. So nobody would be able to get any updates after they did that. Fortunately, we've been around for so long that we knew people who could help us, and they got the job done. But still, I put a really bad taste in my mouth with NinjaTrader. And before then, I kind of liked them, but after that, they yanked it out from under us. Just, that's it. Goodbye. Some stranger. I mean, we used to know the people there at Ninja because we've been with them since they were a charting platform before they became a brokerage. And since they got bought out twice now, the people we knew are probably long retired for the most part. When you're doing stuff like this, Dwayne and I have been doing this for almost 20 years. And when you're doing stuff like this for a long time, the people that have regular jobs that you associate with in regular businesses, like Bert, for instance. Bert's going to be getting pretty close to his retirement. I mean, I know he's my age, and so he's probably not going to. But he's been at the same company for 20 years. When you're a business owner, you don't really have that. You can't say, well, after 20 years, I'm just going to take my pension and go. Your pension is what you make while you're a business owner. But all these other people that are in the same business, that have been in the same business that we've been dealing with all these years, they're all getting ready to retire. So I said all that to say this. I'm not adding any of the TV trade stuff to NinjaTrader. It's too much of a pain in the neck. And I mean, they made us go through background checks and everything else. And, and it's an annual thing, I think, that they check on us. Or at least they make us sign. That one paper was an annual thing. That one email that we missed is an annual thing. So it's just not worth the hassle. That one TradingView is actually better, cheaper, easier to use, and there's 100 million other people using it. With NinjaTrader, there's probably 3 million, 4 million. Anyway, I digress. That's actually gotten to be a lot less, Bob. With StoneX, you have to talk to Bert. I'm calling Bert at 866-928-3310. Okay, 866-928-3310. It's a lot less than it used to be. Their margins are less, their commissions are less, and the amount required to open an account is less. With the advent of the micros, they let you open an account with a lot less money. But call Bert. Number is 866 928, 3310. Is it still makes? And the DOM that you see here, this is not their DOM. This is the Sierra DOM. Right? It just executes over there. But this is the Sierra DOM. Okay. Their DOM is the CQG DOM, and it is not at all conducive to scalping futures anyway. Day trading anything really. And they tried. Bert really put in the effort to try to get it to work for what we do. But in the end, it just didn't pan out. And on TradingView, if you want to trade through them, but you can do it straight from the TradingView platform, there's a fee you have to pay. It's a small monthly fee you have to pay, but the TradingView DOM sucks too. I'll show you what I can't be connected to that thing. But the TradingView DOM sucks too, but you can trade on the charts pretty easily with TradingView. Okay, so if I were going to trade at StoneX through TradingView, through the TradingView platform, I would trade on the charts. I'm not going to do that now. If you go out here to trading platforms, you can see this is what DT Pro used to look like, and this is what the Sierra looks like. We did everything we could to make it look exactly the same and have all the same features, because I've been using that one for over a decade. And I wanted all the same features in this one. I pretty much have all the same features. It's actually better. Okay, but we got it to look the same, and it's actually better than what DT Pro used to be. Denali is not $12.50 a month anymore. I got to change this around so it's updated. The Denali you get, but you have to pay for the exchange fees there. And they could range from $2 a month to $39 a month. You are welcome. It was almost a year ago where that whole process started, where I had to start looking for the DOMs when I found out that DT Pro was going away. I hated that process. I had to go through and try out all those other DOMs. And I had to fill out all that crappy paperwork for all those other brokerages just to get a demo DOM. I'd actually open accounts at some of them just to get a demo DOM. And the Sierra software is so darn clunky. It's been around for so long. Well, TradingView is actually the same company. It was the CEO, I think the CEO of TradingView. The guy who runs TradingView is the same guy who started Sierra. So there's a little bit of overlap there. But if you go and look at things in here like general trade settings, this is really old school stuff. No boxes and drop downs and all that. But they did incorporate some of that stuff in there. If you look at some of the things, they incorporated some of that stuff in there. But the updates that they've done. But Sierra's been around for a long time. All right, we're about to have a trade here on the ES. And this will probably be our last trade. 150 up to 350 on the ES. So I was a little frightened when I first started putting it all together. And then when I saw how complicated it was to set it up, oh man, I'm going to end up doing this one by one for everybody. And I did. And I did, but it's the best. So it's the closest to my normal is what it is. And that's what I was looking for. Looking for the up close on the yes. And there it is. And here it is. All right. So where is this trying to go? 575. 575 is just right here. Now what's in between here and there? Not really a whole lot. Doesn't have a lot on top of it either. It's got to go up one more tick and we can bump. One more. Come on, get up there. One more. Didn't make it up there yet, did it? Oops. I'll get that in a second. 550. I guess it did make it up there. I could have bumped it to break even already. It's already got a high of 450. 350. What's that doing wrong? This has a high of 450. Okay, so I can bump it to break even. I could have bumped it to break even. I missed my chance. Well, hopefully I'll get another shot at it here in a second or two. The NQ's almost got a trade there. Use a down close followed by an up close on the NQ. All right, that's not a trade on the NQ. Okay, I can go to break even on the ES because it did hit 4.5. And I hit 4.5 again. So let's just go to one tick on that. And this is not a trade on the NQ because it didn't come out of the oversold. And we're out with one tick on the ES and we need a down close followed by an up close on the NQ. You see how the range is getting really narrow right in here on all three of those. Spreading out on gold. Spreading out on gold, but it's getting narrow on these three indexes. Suggests it's going to go sideways a little bit and then pop. Pop, I say. That is correct. You want to be able to just put it on and trade, right, Bob? The one thing about the Sierra stuff is once you get it done, you get it done, and you don't have to do anything else with it. Unless they change rules on it. They have to go, and I'll have to figure out what it is now that I'm going to doing it. Everybody, one by one. But anyway, I digress. All right. So guys, we had a couple of trades in here. We had a win on the Russell. We had a win on the S, one tick win on the S, and a 10 tick win on the Russell. That's all we had in this session. Today, if you haven't taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. Come on. Get over there. Let's go to home. There it is. Go to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required. When you click on that, it's going to be into this page. Just fill it out. Make sure you give us your trading view login ID down there. Reading view, login ID. And that's it, guys. With that, I can wrap it up, pack it up, send it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking the South Mountain, America's largest city park, if Dwayne is ready. Over here on the gold, we need an up close on that one to trigger trade.
Yep. I'm ready. Do you want me to take it?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Recap of the recap of the morning session.
7 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,200 with 10 contracts on.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we've covered everything but gold and silver, both of which are having a pretty nice day. This is where we opened last night. All the CTAs came out before the open last night, as they do, typically every night, 5 minutes ahead of the open. And last night, all the Logic 247 alerts came out ahead of the open. You can hover over them and check the timestamp. Anyway, this was the open right here, right at the zone from last week. Remember, all alerts on Sunday night are based on the previous week's zones because the new zones don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Now that the new zones are out, any alerts that go out for the remainder of the week, be they Logic or CTAs, those will be based on the new zones. These are the ones published last week, Monday morning. So, on Friday, we closed just above the highest weekly trading zone. And then last night, we dipped below it. Now, we did not make it to the short target, which was based off this bullish cross. Buyers came in at an area I would not have anticipated, and they drove it straight up to the long target, which right there, where blue turned to red, here's your long target. Hit it, resistance, get a retracement to blue and climbing support, hit it again, and some consolidation, and then a big leg. Now the step line has crossed from the left side to the right side of blue and climbing. Actually, it crossed back here, but we didn't get the retracement. Now it's crossed again. This time, look for price to retrace back to the BBC. It may spike it, and this long target could very well become support for the next leg to the upside. And silver. This was the opening candle last night, and in the opening candle, it dropped all the way to the short target. We opened at 41.46, and from 46 we dropped 28. So that would be $900 per contract traded. We bounced off support. Now the short target was simply using market structures, looking left, where's a reasonable place for price to find support. Right there. And it did. Twice. And then it caught a bounce all the way up to the BBC, pullback hill. Sent us back to the target, down to the zone. And remember, one of three things happen at the zone 70% of the time is this, consolidation. Support will always send the market looking for resistance. So we hit the long target, and you can see that's based off where blue turned to red. And we consolidated sideways, then we hit the zone from last week. We finally got above it. Leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. Pull back to the BBC, holds more often than it doesn't. And off we go. And the high for silver on the day is 42.35. Now, we just had another pullback to the BBC. Now, on this pullback, there's a tiny bit of red right there, but it's not red and falling. See how this one's pointing down? So, pullback holds more often than it doesn't. I mean, you've seen it over and over and over. To just today. But we just might spike down to the zone from last week, possibly even down to the top of this long target. And I'm basing that off of this right here. Okay. And it looks like it's in a hurry. It's not in much of a hurry to go anywhere fast. So, zone, the zone, the zone, the zone, the zone. But tomorrow you'll see this week's zones. The ones that were published this morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. Friday, new all-time historic high, intraday. But the all-time historic closing high, August 28th, 64.85. This day we closed at 54. No. Closed at 65.12. On this day we closed at 65.16. Okay. That's the all-time historic closing high. This is the all-time historic intraday high. Okay. And we have an inside day going, which means we haven't taken out Friday's high, we haven't taken out Friday's low, and we do have, we're off the high of the day, but we still got a little green body there. This thing could fold going into the close. It could surge. I think the market's waiting to see how the PPI numbers and the CPI numbers come out, because that's going to affect whether or not we get a rate cut. And surprising to me, word on the street is we could get a jumbo cut of a half a point. We'll see. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Just let her know you want to become a member. She'll send you all the information you need via email. She'll include a link for you to click to make your payment. Once you make your payment, she'll send you everything you need to get started. Create a folder in your email client, and every email she sends you, just put it in that folder. A lot of it, you won't even understand what it's about because you're brand new. But you will need it over time, so just hang on to it. As a passport holder, you'll get 2 hours of live interactive training every trading day, along with 2 hours of group training. You have access to private one-on-one mentoring. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames, just as I showed you today. Support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's just how markets work. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock, the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the country, 5:55 p.m. Eastern typically. Monday mornings at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. Thursday afternoons, you get your invitation to the members-only workshop. Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you get the golden keys that opens all the private channels in Telegram. That's the heartbeat of the community. That's where all of our traders chat with one another, post charts, talk about their trades. It's the hub of the community. Now, those of you on the trial, you have access to the trial channels, which allows you to chat with our traders. But once you become a passport holder, you'll have access to all the channels, public and private. Just email Valerie, support@cfrn.net, so that you can get everything a trader needs, all under one roof, at one low price. Okay. Good word for the day. Don't assume your children are okay. Now, maybe for you, this means your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren. His parents assumed, Luke 2:43. The Bible says every year Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. When Jesus was 12 years old, they attended the festival as usual. After the celebration was over, they started home to Nazareth, but Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents didn't miss him at first because they assumed he was among the other travelers. But when he didn't show up that evening, they started looking for him. This story has a happy ending because Jesus' parents found him. But it doesn't always turn out that way. Don't assume your children are okay. Today they have access to drugs, guns, and pornography via the internet, where they can meet very dangerous predators. That should concern you. Jesus said Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy in John 10:10. Don't let him have your family. After being set free from demonic control, a man wanted to travel with Jesus as one of his disciples. But Jesus said, "Go back home to your family and tell them what the Lord has done for you." Luke 8:39. Your dream job or house will feel empty if you lose your children. Indeed, your achievements may taste like ashes in your mouth. If you have been traveling the road to success and neglecting to bring your family along with you, make a U-turn. Go back and get the people who matter most. Commit yourself to making the journey, only if it includes them. Pray with the psalmist. Psalm 101:2. I need your help, especially in my own home, where I long to act as I should. Don't assume your children are okay. Make sure they're okay. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.